Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to begin to model the body of our character. So let's get started. Let's start by doing a couple of more things to our image planes here. Let's click on this one and open up its object properties. And we're going to check back face cull. And that means that we can't see the back of it. And that will be important in a little bit. Let's do the same thing for each one of these. And then let's grab all of them and freeze them for the time being. We may have to adjust them later. Let's go to our viewport settings and turn on edge faces. And you can see that when we rotate around, when we're looking at our character from the front or the back, because we have back face cull turned on, those faces do not get in the way. Those other planes do not get in the way. So let's go to the front view and let's turn on default shading and turn off the grid by pushing G on your keyboard. I'm sorry, I forgot to do one thing at the very beginning. Let's go ahead and unfreeze our planes and select each one. Make sure you have the move tool activated and center it in the X and the Y position, and then move it back away from the grid. We need to make sure that these are centered in the world because our character needs to be centered in the world for symmetry and other purposes. We just need to make sure. Don't center it in the Z direction because we have moved it so it's standing on the ground. Okay, now let's freeze them, or select, yes, let's just freeze the layer. And when we freeze the layer, we freeze all of them. Okay, let's switch to the front view by pushing F on your keyboard. And let's activate default shading and turn on edged faces and hit G on your keyboard to turn off the grid. Let's go to the Create tab and let's create a box. Just click and drag about like that. To let go of your mouse and drag some, it doesn't matter at this point, and just left click to finish. And then let's go to the Modify tab and let's make this a cube. Let's make it 150 by 150 by 150. And I'm pushing tab each time to get to the next blank. You can push Shift tab to go backwards if you want to. And then let's go to the Hierarchy tab because we need to center the pivot. If we hit L on the keyboard, you'll see it's not centered. So let's click Effect Pivot Only and center this to our object. And then let's go down here to the coordinates and center it in X and Y. And then let's go to the Modify tab and add a Spherify modifier. And this is what we should have. Okay, let's start by adding an Edit Poly to this. Go to Vertex mode, and we're going to grab this half of the sphere and move it up and put those vertices all the way at the top of Patrick's head, like that. And then we're going to get the Scale tool, and we're going to scale them down. Now let's switch to the left view and check and see what that looks like in the left view. We have to turn on default shading, edged faces, and turn off the grid by pushing G on your keyboard. Now it looks like we need to move these forward a little bit. Place them right about there. Now we'll take care of all the rest of this later. But as you can see, we're going to have to cut some edges in here. Let's start in the front view with that. Let's start by taking these two and pulling them out just like that. Maybe take this one and pull it in a little bit more. Now I'm using a selection box here to be sure that I select the vertices on the front and the back. Now here is where symmetry would be nice. So let's get Swift Loop and get right here, and if we hold down Shift, that locks it in the center, and when we click, it follows the curve of what we're doing, which is very nice. So turn off Swift Loop, and then we're going to go to polygon mode, and we're going to select half of it and delete. And then we're going to exit polygon mode, very important, and add symmetry. Now if you see a little piece like this, that means that the vertices are not exactly on the X, the center vertices of the line that we cut. So to fix that, let's go back here, go to Vertex, and turn off symmetry for a second, and grab these vertices. Make sure you draw a selection box so you grab the front and the back, and zero out their X position. You can do that for all of them. Now when we turn symmetry back on, you can see we don't have that anymore, except for right there. Oh well. And if it disappears like mine did, click flip. Now turn on show end result so we'll see symmetry when we're working, and click show cage. Now we can work on one side and have those changes follow through on the other. So let's get Swift Loop, and we're obviously going to need an edge right here, so click an edge right there. And we didn't want to use shift there because we're going to want to shape this. So we're going to move that out like that. Now at this point it would be nice to be able to see the image through the mesh that we're working on. So in order to do that, we need to be able to make it see-through. So we can do that a couple of ways. We can right click, go to Object Properties, and check this box here, See Through, and then click OK. That's one way to do it. We can also, if we turn that off, I'm going to make my mesh color a little darker. I like mine a little darker than that. We can also go to Object Properties, and we can toggle the visibility here. And the added advantage of doing this is that we retain the color, if you like that. And also we can make it completely see-through as a wireframe over the picture if we want to do that. So I usually like to use this. So I'm going to make this about 0.5. There we go. All right, so let's get Swift Loop. We'll maybe cut an edge right here where his neck begins. Let's grab these two vertices here and pull them in. And maybe let's grab these and pull them in a little bit more, so there's a little more evenly spaced here. Do the same with these. And pull that out like so. Pull this down, pull this down. Always you draw a selection box so you get the ones on the front and the back. And then let's use Swift Loop and put one right here in his armpit. And grab this one and pull that in. We're starting to get that Patrick shape now. Now let's check it from the left. And we're going to have to do some stuff here. So let's grab this one. I'm just clicking on that one. I'm going to pull that out like that. I'm going to pull that out like that. And I'm just clicking. I'm not drawing a selection box on these. Just clicking that one because that's the one right in the front. Now that is his lip, obviously, so let's look at that in the front view and make sure that that is where that should be. And we can clearly see that we have a problem here, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's go back to the left view. Let's actually take this whole thing and move it up a little bit. Grab all of that, pull that back. Let's grab this one and pull it back like that. Let's leave these alone for the time being. Now let's take these, let's draw a selection box around them, and we're going to just sort of even out that spacing there. And we're just kind of making sure everything sort of follows the same line and the same curve here. All right, let's return to the front view. Let's take this one and pull it in a little bit. And let's take this one. Remember, I'm drawing a selection box. And move it down so that it's right below the mouth like that, and at the top of the shoulder. And let's work on the spacing here a little bit. Okay, now let's cut a loop right here. Cut a swift loop, and I'm not going to use shift, I'm just going to click. And let's grab this one and pull it up right there. Kind of curve that waistbandy thing around like that. Let's look at that from the left view. And let's take this one and put it at the waistband here. Selection box, move this up, move this up, and move that up. And that should follow that waistband. Now let's look at this in the back view. Let's select this one vertex here. I'll move this over just a little bit. Select this one vertex and go up here and switch to the back view. And that lines up. So it looks like the problem is the front view. And I know this is getting long, so we're just going to have to deal with it. And then let's look at that in the front view. Grab that one and move it up a little bit and out. I think what we're going to have to do is just compromise here a little bit. Okay, let's look at the left view a little bit more. Let's take these two and move them up so they sit right there, and then let's take these two and move them so we get that curve right there. We need to take this and pull it down here. It's too far up. And it looks like we're going to need another edge here, so let's go Swift Loop and put one right there in the middle. And then grab this vertex and pull that out. And pull that out. Look at that from the front view. Pull it out like that. Take that, take that and pull it up a little bit. Okay, so we're starting to get something. You can also see how it looks like we can see all these vertices through our mesh here. Some of these are on the back side because it's now see-through. And that can get a little confusing, and we'll talk about that later on. All right, this video has dragged on way too long, so when we come back, we'll continue shaping the body, and maybe we will extrude the arms. And I'll see you then.